Hi, my name is Stefano Grillini, and I'm a lecturer at the University of Bradford in the UK. I'm very glad to introduce my working paper, and I will be looking forward to present it at the conference in July. In our working papers, my co-authors and I are investigating the dynamics of liquidity shocks and liquidity contagion in the Eurozone stock markets. In general, shocks across equity markets have interested a great deal of research for decades. Episodes like the flash crash of the 19th of October 1987 or the global financial crisis are just two very noteworthy examples of the many other vivid examples of the effects that sudden and pervasive drops on liquidity can have in local markets. But these effects start from local markets, but they can easily spread globally. In this context, the liquidity channel has been found to be one of the main means of contagion. Recent evidence show that liquidity is a time-varying phenomenon, and as such, empirical models must take into account these time-varying characteristics to properly define the implication across stock markets and the necessary policy tools. While all stock markets are globally integrated, the European Union is a unique example of integration. And by specifically looking at the European Union, we can potentially shed lights on contagion across highly interrelated stock markets, but we're also looking at the intensity and direction of liquidity spillovers. Our main research questions aim at investigating whether there is a spillover effect through the liquidity channel among Eurozone countries. Second, what is the intensity and direction of illiquidity or liquidity shocks across these markets? And third, is there a spillover effect constant over time, or can we provide evidence of contagion? Using 5 different measures of liquidity that capture the different facets the liquidity has, we investigate 10 Eurozone countries. Therefore, we include both core and peripheral economies using a generalized vector autoregressive model that allows us to estimate both static and dynamic spillover. Static spillover can be seen more as the average level of shock transmission, while dynamic spillover measure how the shock changes over time and allows us to provide evidence of contagion. Our results indicate a strong interrelation, which increases with period of greater uncertainty and markets turmoil, which is an empirical evidence in line with the definition of contagion. We also estimate where these shocks come from and which countries tend to absorb more of these shocks. Surprisingly, we find that core economies are net receivers during relatively calm periods in the stock markets, while they become net transmitters during periods of crisis. We provide a threefold contribution. First, we introduce an innovative measure that captures the average pairwise and total spillover effect, which we define liquidity spillover index. We construct this index in a similar way to the popular model of Diebold and Yilmaz for volatility spillovers, and which has not been applied for liquidity transmission channels. Second, we provide evidence on contagion across Eurozone countries. In particular, we show that leading economies such as Germany, France, and Italy are dominant transmitter of shocks through the liquidity channel and particularly in periods of financial uncertainty. We do this by using a dynamic version of the spillover index obtained with a 200 weeks rolling window estimation that captures the time-varying behavior of shock transmission. And last, we extend previous studies in this field by including also the direction and the intensity of illiquidity spillovers in a dynamic setting. Our findings provide important implications both for investors but also for regulators. Our results can be seen as a handy measure to signal early warning of an emerging crisis, but also to monitor the development of existing crises. We are currently extending the dataset to include the most recent data in order to analyze the contagion effect before and during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I hope to present these new results at the online conference in July. Thank you very much for your time. Hope to see you soon.